So welcome to Confounded TV is Darren Fell, the founder of Crunch, the online bookkeeping and accountancy practice. Hi, Darren.
Hello, Alistair. How the devil are you?
I'm very well, and we have to caveat this. We've known each other for a very long time, since your very early days at Crunch.
Very, very early days when we were in a little basement, and I think I had not even 16 people fitted in 800 square feet. I think I had about 8 people in that space, and I had the commanding view of the extensive office, 800 square feet.
But you were the CEO, so that's the important thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
And I think we should go back in time a little bit. Can you just explain what Crunch is, why it's different to the others, and then we'll go back through the whole journey of how, from there to here.
Cool. So Crunch. And I'll start with, I'm not an accountant, but I was approached by an accountant at the tail end of my my first startup, which is Pure 360, an online email marketing firm and consultancy to get you delivered into the inbox. And I'd sort of come to the end of that, wanting to send lots of emails out correctly and non-spammy. I've got to add.
And ahead of your time, it has to be said. Here we are talking at a time where people are trying to sell that stuff now, and you were doing it back then.
Yeah, back then. So, but it was more around a mission of wanting to send something without having to ship truckloads and tonloads of paper out, in vans and deliver, i.e. direct mail. I hated direct mail, and I wanted to do it cleverly via email in a non-spam way, with loads of amazing reporting. So, yeah, that was launched in 2002, 2003, from a tiny little bungalow around the back of Brighton station, but that's going back before Crunch. So yeah, it got to about
there are people listening to this who work on the internet now who were like 5 or 10 when that happened.
Don't
even understand. Like back then, that would have been revolutionary.
Yeah, but you will make me feel old, of which I actually am now.
Well, we are.
Some of the team members we take on here at Crunch is like, you look at the date of birth on the CV, you go, oh dear, I really am an old git now. So anyway, coming back to Crunch, an accountant approached me wanting to talk about a piece of software that would help contractors, and I thought, that's terribly dull, really, really boring. But then I thought about it, and I thought that the whole world of accountancy had never been disrupted at all, ever. So I wanted to take that idea, to work with them, to build the software, but add in the accountancy side as well. The bit that I'd experienced many problems with accountants not calling me back, getting fines, and you hear this routinely amongst all your mates. As it gets to the January time, and people go, the accountant won't call me back, and I don't know how much tax to put aside. So I wanted to solve the whole kit and caboodle. So an account manager, an accountant, and create a whole piece of software that was actually easy to use by the end user, that would send out invoices, handle expenses. You could snap the receipts and it would automatically go in. It would tell you exactly how much tax to put aside. But with all of the endless questions you have, you could pick up the phone or send an email and go, what's my allowance on that? How do I do that? And a client manager and an accountant would help you, all for the princely sum of £59.50 per month for limited accounts with VAT as well.
And this is the original founding idea, not where it is today.
That was the original founding idea, and that's what we still do today, but it's obviously expanded a hell of a lot. And that's where we started. Now, Alistair, as you know, had I done any due diligence properly into this mad idea, then I would have run a million miles.
Would you?
Absolutely. The hell I went through. So I wanted a double entry accounting system that we built. I didn't want to cobble together and plug into anybody else's. I wanted to do live tax preparation, which is like a practice management system, which is a whole other world.
Yeah.
It needed to have feeds from the banks, which didn't exist then. It needed to do, the live tax calculations, of course, VAT, feeds into HMRC, you name it. I wanted it to be the package, and I wanted to help micro businesses, which I felt were not really well looked after by the accountancy world, because they start off looking after the self-employed and very small businesses and contractors, and then it's what I call the magpie effect. And they would go, oh, slightly bigger company, customer. Oh, I can make a fee of $8,000 on that one, and not my $2,500 from this lowly small business here. Oh, there's a high net worth individual come in, and he's got racehorses. Oh, I can make $25,000 a year out of him. And then they forget about looking after the small customers.
And of course, there really are millions of the small customers, right? So if you build a scalable system.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the premise of the idea. It turned into be the most ridiculously complicated thing to build. But you know me, when I go for it, I go for it. And we had to build all the teams, the Java programmers, the original architect that put it together. We had to build teams of accountants. We had to build teams of client managers and understand how to scale all of these things out. And then I got hit in the early days. It was still when I was, that little GIMP seller that you came to visit me that time. We were attacked by a blogger who wrote about accountancy software, and he'd called up our team. In fact, he ended up calling up and speaking to the marketing manager bizarrely and asked him loads of tax questions. And the marketing manager kept saying, but I'm the marketing manager. Would you like me to pass you to the sales team so you can come on board so you can talk to an accountant? And out came on his very, very well-trafficked site, incredibly poor advice from Crunch Accounting. Wow. Don't use them. And he tweeted out to the Brighton community, he's like, definitely as freelancers and contractors, don't use this company. And we like, why is this guy on? And he did another blog post. And yeah, seriously, it was called Acman Pro at the time. So it was like the top site, top journo writing about accountancy software. And I like, there's something up here. Let's have a look on Companies House. Oh, he's a shareholder in Free Agent Central.
No,
which is
you heard this here first.
Yeah, I know. So I can't believe I didn't tell you about this, but yeah, it was so painful experience. So every time you search for Crunch, underneath it was like, oh no, that was it. Embarrassingly big cock up by Crunch. Don't use them. So every time you search for it, and our traffic and the sales were really difficult at a time that I was funding it right at the beginning. The accountant approached me in the first place, and a friend of his. We were all being equal partners, and they'd offered to carry on funding it until about God knows how many months in, they realised it was just too complicated and it might fail. So then I had to take it on. So I was funding it myself. I'd agreed a higher percentage, a controlling percentage of the business as a result of their not willing to help me at all. So I was in massive stress land, and this painful blogger tried to kill us, and there was a reason why he was trying to kill us. Now, of course, I fell out utterly with the CEO of Free Agent Ed, and the story goes, and it sounds a bit wanky, really, but I then met him at Buckingham Palace, and they selected 300 tech entrepreneurs to go to the palace to meet the Queen. Where was
my invite? I'm sorry.
Sorry, mate. Yeah. So, and this was like years and years afterwards. We'd had some massive feuding going on between Crunch and Free Agent, and comparable pieces of software, but still very, very different. They had just software, and they sell to accountants and to the end users. They were the palace was amazing. They kept coming up with mum's champagne and filling up my glass. So I was really happy wandering around in the throne room, and almost everybody else had gone. I was still taking top-ups of my champagne, and I heard this, "Oh, Darren." And I turned round, and in the throne room, it was Ed Molyneux from Free Agent walking towards me. And I'm going, shit, I'm going to have a punch up in the palace.
You should have done. You should have done. That would have been. That's the best advertising you get. Founder of Crunch ejected from palace for fight with other founder.
I know. I could see blood on the walls. Like being escorted out by beefeaters. No, they're in the Tower of London, aren't they?
I don't know, Darren, because some of us haven't been to the palace.
I know. It does sound a bit wanky, but when I got the thing through the post, it's all very elegant. I've got it on the not these shelves, but probably the shelves out in the reception of Crunch, and it was like, I'm being invited to Buckingham Palace. How did that happen? But yeah, it was all for show. I think they were trying to say the Queen doesn't just have to meet like top petroleum, like
it's not just Sir Jamie Bamford,
Yeah, and all like the Uber level. She must. There were some PR strategists going, she must meet, all these tech entrepreneurs.
It was probably Andrew. he likes a young tech entrepreneur, so I hear.
Oh, yes.
So that's because the interesting thing about that, I think there's two things straight away for that for younger founders. I was on a call last night with some young founders, and the key thing is, of course, it's actually quite good to go into this stuff blindly, and if you're the right kind of character, you will just carry on because it'll morph and change anyway. So it's good. It's good learning, isn't it? And self-funding is also an interesting journey. But I think the thing is, when you get attacked, it's probably because you are right? And somebody doesn't like what you're doing because either they don't understand it or they don't get it. You see this with Kazoo a lot, and this will upset some of my car industry friends. But Kazoo, right, raises lots and lots of money, sponsors all these rugby teams, football teams, will be on TV endlessly, and their goal will be to say get X% of the used car market. Let's just say it's 10%, right? Everyone doesn't believe they can do it. They're not car salesmen. They don't know about cars. It's not tech. It's all blah, blah, blah. But the point is, it will be a name like, I'm going to look for a house. I'll go to Rightmove. I'll go and buy a car. I'll go to Kazoo. And if 800,000 people a year do that, right, it makes it one of the most valuable car companies in Europe, as in used car sales, right? So they know what they're doing. And I think that thing you've got there, where you get somebody like Free Agent or this guy who's got shares in Free Agent going, stop this guy, stop this guy, stop this guy. There's two things that person doesn't understand. One is you, the character, will continue, and this just digs you in. And the second thing is, it's a big market. Everything is a big market, and people forget that. And you can see that now, because obviously Zero didn't exist in the UK at all in this situation. And obviously what they do isn't what you do. I can phone you up and say, hello, accountant, I'm thinking of buying a Tesla. How does that impact on my corp tax this year? You can't do that with Free Agent. You just enter the information after you've done. There's nobody to help you with this stuff. It's the real differentiator, I think.
However, they are trying to get finally into our marketplace of actually adding the accountant and the software together. So they have this thing called Copilot, but they obviously need accountancy practices to come in. So they present the price to the end user, but an accountancy firm has to fulfill it with their software. I've heard it's been difficult for them to get accountancy practices, to come on board, but good on them. The market needs, more of the service and software, and I've been banging on about this for clearly a long time, and since 2009, software and service is the new play, because what you don't realise, and in fact, what a lot of people do realise, is that finding the accountant is the real gamble in the whole thing. So you ask your mate and Dave down the pub, and Dave goes, "Oh, you've got to go and check out Bill, Blogden, Hythe, and Smith Wise
from the golf
accountants." Club. And you go there and you get this, you're baffled with their tax knowledge and everything, and they sign them up with these wad of papers that come 2 weeks later. And then he never calls you back because you're a small person. So it's always a gamble. So what Free Agent are now doing is exactly what we're doing. It's like guaranteed service levels, really good accountants, really good client managers, to solve all of the issues. I mean, some of our clients, given our lowest price now is $71.50, some of our clients cost us thousands and thousands of pounds every year because we spend so much time like helping them and tuning things up. And other clients will be dutiful and fantastic and use all the DIY software the way they're meant to, and get back to us when they're meant to get back to us, and click accept on the annual account accounts that it's okay, and we make good money there. So it's very much it's kind of like the gym model. Some people will
the high rollers and the non-turner uppers, right? But I think that's the whole way you deliver that service, though, because I can be a low-cost, low-impact client, right? And you make more money on me. But then when I do need your help, you'll be there. So, I can go tick for month after month paying you this money, never using it. Then when I do need you, you'll be there and you'll help, as opposed to, actually paying a lot of money every year for nothing. And because let's not talk about feature. Let's talk about crunch. Because how many are you going to tell us how many customers you have now?
Yeah, of course. So it's we're in a transition at the moment. Okay, so there are 10,000 full-service accounting customers at Crunch. Now, going back to the original story of not free agent, but freelance advisor, which was the portal I created to genuinely help the market. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. That picked up all the traffic. A genuine help, loads and loads of guides.
This is a website with guides and help and stuff.
Guides and help. And also it allowed me to go and present and try and help people and do loads of seminars. So that merged about 4 years ago, I think, and we turned that community into Crunch Chorus. So with our accounting customers, we have 50,000 members in that community.
Wow.
And there's loads of plans to make that even more interactive. So there's loads of amazing knowledge guides, and there's loads and loads of benefits I'm trying to pile in. And I'm utterly passionate, as you know, about people breaking free of dire businesses, dire corporates, and doing their own thing, or doing their own thing so they have the flexibility to do what they love, which might be helping a charity or working on an environmental project. So the passion is going into the community. So it's 50,000 at the moment. It's been riding about 2,000 new members a month. After COVID, it's dropped down to about 1,000. But recently, the really exciting thing I wanted to add in, and we had tested years ago, was to give the biggest benefit we could to the entire market and to help people, especially now. And it will stay forever free. We have re-platformed everything. We've rebuilt our whole system, and we're giving away the accountancy software completely for free. So that is really, really exciting. So it's got unlimited invoicing, unlimited expensing, the banking and the reconciliation, systems going in
with
there
the feeds,
in the next
everything.
weeks. Yeah, all of that, because we really, really want to help. And it's not going to go away after COVID goes away. It's going to stay forever free. So I imagine the biggest benefit in the community used to be, the knowledge guys, like how to be a freelancer, how to get a mortgage, how to insure yourself properly and getting the right PI cover. But that's got in 2,000 members every month. But we've only just launched the free accounting software, and we didn't have Sole Trader in there. But because we've got a new platform, we can plug in the services and start correcting things much faster than what is now our old core system, which is very hard to program on some 10 years later. So added Sole Trader in, Alistair, and the numbers are going mad. So, there's this whole plan to merge the community into this single application and that free benefit. So there's nice little things, and this is where it's been so hard building this business, because you've got software and service. Now, software is hard work, but relatively doable. Then you mix it with service, and that really, really makes you think as a business how to utilize the people, how to form them. Do you have pods? Do you have them remote? Do you have them in one place? So I wanted to be able to give all of this away for free. Of course, if you sign up for the full thing, the pro and the premium, you got all the different dashboards and the how to pay yourself and the dividends if you're limited, all the rest of the functionality. But it comes with the account manager and the accountant as much as you want, unlimited. But in between that, people are going between free and $71.50 a month, going, well, that's a massive jump. But what happens if they were trying to do it themselves? And they can do it themselves on our software. But what happens if they got stuck? Mm-hmm. So we launched Ask an Accountant. So they can spend a whole hour with an expert qualified chartered accountant for £39.50 and get the report afterwards. So now you have the concept of bite-sized services, bookkeeping,
it's almost transactional. Like I can use it. Like I use mine like completely free, and then I go, Bic on this truck, I'm a bit stuck, right? Or whatever the thing happens to be. And also right now, right? Like we'll come back to COVID, but so what you're basically saying is it almost becomes a menu, and I go like I can use it for free, and this is like anyone can use it for free.
Yep, anyone can use it for free. So,
but I need an hour of somebody's time.
But I need an hour of someone's time. Oh, actually, I really hate this stuff, and I want a bookkeeper, and you can buy bookkeepers in bite-sized services. Yeah. But actually, that's coming across. You can buy hours of their time. That's the better way of conveying it, rather than buying people. Yeah, no, that'd be a different.
To be honest, I do that, right? Because I know I've got friends who are like, you're so wasting money. Like, it's just receipts. You do it all yourself. I'm like, yeah, but really entering all that, I'd rather spend an hour on a client's work, give that client the extra hour, and then the client's happier because I'm servicing the account better, right?
Yeah,
that's so. And that must be.
If somebody wanted to do it, sorry, Alistair. Yeah, but if someone really wanted, and you're the same as me, and that's what we communicate out to all the customers. Like your day rate's like $750, say, or it's $500, and yet you're insistent on doing it yourself. Limited. There's a lot of peculiarities. There's a lot of tax knowledge. There's a lot of changes. Some people want to do that, but they can on that software. They can do it completely themselves, but it's a complete poor use of their time. But some people like the control and understanding of how to do it. I would always advocate, and if you listen to Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week, it was like massive advocation of everything, hand everything over, have 2 virtual assistants in the Philippines or one in the States, and don't get your own sandwiches, have those delivered. But now there's a delivery service. Have everything mapped out and just oversee. I think there's a bit, overkill, but
I honestly don't know. I think there's a lot of people who have the right kind of jobs to do it, but don't see it. And also, there's a lot of graspiness, which is like I must make as much every hour. It must be billable. Ding 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 ding. And then of course if you get to our age, you kind of look back at them and you think, honestly, guys, you could be like, you could be working from a van in Australia. Especially now, when this starts to lift, I think there'll be. I know plenty of people who are changing how they view stuff at a younger age than perhaps getting to our age and going, I haven't had any time off, not properly. Yeah. When I came out of car step, and I haven't stopped since, but the logical thing would have been to say, take a break, right? Do something else. And I think,
of course,
that Tim Ferriss thing, you're right. It's 4 hours. And also not everyone can do it. So it's a bit privileged in what you do. And, but for software devs, really, was there not that famous guy who got about 4 contracts, to do software dev and outsourced a whole lot to China and basically did no work apart from QC? But you're right.
You could do that. That actually makes me think about the early days of Pure 360, where I was building the system for the email marketing, and the proof of concept had been a party business. Which I called partytastic.com, and I love that.
This was yours.
The name. This is mine. It sent emails and the SMS reminders out for all these parties. And I to keep the money coming in and to pay the mortgage, I got this job cold calling for an internet security company in the Docklands, and it was really, really painful. I can do cold calling, don't like it. It's not very nice. So I then found one of my other mates who'd been, lost his job at, an internet company, and got him in the position, and then went home and carried on building Pure 360 whilst
I made. He did your calls.
He did all my calls, and I made the margin. Yeah, he just reminded me about that.
If you just written a book called "Bullshit Jobs or No Work," sit back, you'd have been Tim Ferriss. Because a lot of this stuff is. There's a really interesting guy coming on. I say in a few weeks. Well after Christmas now, because there is a backlog. There's over 250 subscribers. Everybody, it goes up every month. It's great. But he's coming on. He's a really young guy, like 24, 25, and he actually just sells sites on and flipper. So basically, he builds you a site. So, garden trees direct. He works out who all the wholesalers are. He builds a site. The guys in the Philippines that he works in, his company's based in the Philippines, and the guys over there, they build the site. They write all the stuff. They do all the integrations. Whatever he needs done, you basically buy the thing and flip, and you've got a business. Right, and it's not very much. And he does ebook ones, and he gets this stuff written specifically for you. It won't be on 25 other sites. You pay a few high £100, and you've got a business. And then it's up to you to promote it in LinkedIn, which of course will be the death of LinkedIn, as everyone sells their How to Be a Millionaire book. But that's really smart. So he goes out there, and he can skip winter over here. And there's some really smart young founders out there because they don't have the same. We were tied. I think this is fair to say, isn't it, back then? Because I remember meeting you, and I think I was at the time coding one of the first incorporate your companies at Company's House, the really bad long PHP form with lots of if-then stuff, but it did work, and you could incorporate a company on my website, which basically incorporated it into their awful API. And
it must have been terrible then.
Yeah, there's a guy, Kluxa.com, is a Russian guy. So I outsourced it to a Russian guy. I think it cost me $500 plus my sort of tidying up the front end of it. And then, of course, other people paid thousands for that. And I think these shortcuts don't exist because that clunkiness doesn't really exist too much, does it? We were trying to fix problems because it was so shit. And now, actually, there are graceful solutions for almost everything now, even open bank. Because open banking is going to change everything about your business, isn't it? I mean, wouldn't you just take the data from the business bank account and sort of...
Classic you. You make it sound so easy and effortless, and
obviously
it's so not, and it's bloody well similar to that original API at Company's House that we had to plug into as well, which is a nightmare. Now it's a lot better, but the open banking piece was another classic crunch expedition, and we're not just software providers. We're obviously an accountancy firm, so we have a duty of care. So you get the feeds in, right, and they are a dire mess. The banks. Yeah, of course. The banks don't give a monkeys, really.
Well, not even Tide or Monzo and these neobanks. They must surely have guys building.
They probably have better feeds.
Yeah,
but. And it might have been from our aggregator that we first chose that they were originally screen scrapers, which we were avidly against. We never plugged into Yodlee. We hated the whole concept. So we
just for people who are listening, that was you basically, they logged in as you onto the bank website and scraped all the stuff off your digital.
Yeah, scraped it off the screen. Yeah. And what they didn't tell you is if your bank account, your business bank account, got cleaned out, and they saw that you'd actually released your details you're meant to keep secret to yourself to a third party,
no liability.
They would not be responsible for that at all. So I was almost campaigning about not using Yodlee, but my competitors on the software-only side, Xero and Free Agent and ClearBooks, all happily plugged into those horrible feeds, and kind of like they had a tiny little disclaimer, teeny little words down there. Yeah. If you give your details here, you will be royally screwed for the rest of your life. So don't leave any money in your bank account. No. So so the experience with open banking feeds via the aggregator is absolute dribble coming through. So of course the crunch engineers wanting to do this amazing duty of care, try and process the data, try and normalize it, try and clean it all up, and it took us so much longer to do these feeds. And everybody else is pumping out. Yes, we've got 250 feeds. Well, how many feeds there is? And I said to them one day, I said, "Well, how are they doing it?" And they go, "Oh, they just put it in a holding pen and let the end user decipher it and choose which is the right transaction." So I went, "Well, bloody well copy them then. Don't try and normalize the data."
That explains a few things.
So that's the difference. So Crunch is always innovating. We're never copying it, and sometimes I have to say don't spend too much money on that project and deliver perfection. This perfectly normalized data. So we now have very nicely normalized data, but with a big, I think too big a delay. So we're looking, of course, to add in expert, the next level of normalization and auto categorization would be lovely for our customers. But yeah, that whole area of open banking feeds, you think, it comes and you just plug it in and it'd be amazing. No, it took a lot longer than I imagined.
Because the front end of it is actually quite useful. Like Will at Fellow, he can take a transaction using that process. You can log in with your bank account. And he's basically building if you're a charity, you want to raise some money, they can send you a link, you click it, you actually opens your bank, you do the transaction, it costs them a fraction of what a normal transaction or just giving would. It's a really, really good idea, which actually can go into mainstream business as well. But that works because that is just allowing the access to the bank account to validate the user and take the money. What you're saying is that behind the scenes, you want the feed out of that bank account, which does explain why on my business bank account of unnamed bank, it doesn't always work. And that's why, because of course it's not as good as
it doesn't. It doesn't. But it at least it's better than the old Yodely feeds. And you used to look on Zero and they had a whole dashboard for it. And you see all these red marks across the columns, Lloyd's down today. NatWest down for the last
PayPal
6 hours.
Never bloody works.
Because what they didn't tell you, it was so funny. Hopefully the listeners and watchers are half interested in this, that if the bank changed their UX, the menu in a slightly different way,
doesn't work.
The way that the code had gone in to go click, 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 here's the user details, and then extract what's on the page, that it completely broke. So I'll never forget speaking to the UK MD, and he's going, Darren, it's not a problem. We'll have it up and running fast. We've got 400 engineers in India, and they quickly busied themselves and correct the feed and get it And I went, well, when I realised it's screen scraping, I'm not interested. So we wouldn't have been competitive for a period. We were connecting directly to the banks, and at a point we had more banks directly connected than, was it Bankstream, a company that was dedicated to getting proper bank feeds. But of course, the banks didn't want to give feeds. They wanted customers coming into their world so they can sell them other bits and bobs.
You mean highly expensive insurance policies?
Yeah, exactly.
And low-paying interest accounts,
or horrible things like invoice factoring. Yeah. So that's where they make on business. That's where they make a huge amount of money. The insurances and all the other bits and bobs, and the key man insurance, made jack diddly compared to what they can get out of invoice factoring. And that's the only time the banks will be asking for direct fees. They go, why would we do that? Now, you've got lots of data on customers, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes. Well, if we had that information, obviously with the customer's permission, we'd give you the feed in return. I was like, no, I don't like the sound of that either. So
that's using it. So, and how many people do you need to service these 10,000 customers now?
We have a lovely team of 182 team members.
And are they all down in? Are they all Hove, Brighton area, or have you?
Now they're distributed. We've got the HQ
they are now.
looking onto Preston Park, where Gay Pride ends up. I thought all the listeners would want to know that, where Carly was. When was she here? Not last year, the year before. So we look directly onto Preston Park.
Confounded meets Kylie. That would
have been nice. I would have minded that. So we got a massive whopping space of 18,000 square feet.
And how many people have you got in it this week?
We have what?
Just you.
I think I've got 6 other people up there. But amazingly, just coming out of lockdown, I'm very, very careful with the costs. We had not been funded to date with any venture capital or growth funds or anything. We've done all of this.
You're getting ahead of me.
I'm sorry. I'm
talking about COVID responsibilities and distribution of your team, and you're already on to my next question. So have you done all this without any external funding?
So before I get there,
have you done all this without external funding?
It makes you super tight and watching.
I bet it does. So this is all your own money.
Yeah, it's all. We've got some private investors and we've got some amazing people, and I can tell you about that. But coming out of lockdown, I was like to the leadership team, like, we need to shift. And luckily enough, it's a big horseshoe, and we have rights to sublease half the office, so it's about 8,500 square feet. And they're all looking at me on the camera again. Darren, it's highly unlikely you'd find a tenant to go in there. No, just get it out the door, talk to the agents. I'm sure we can do it because we just don't need that much space. On the east side that looks onto Preston Park, we've got 9,000 square feet, and I'm not even sure we'll ever use this. So let's see if we can do it. And amazingly, we found a tenant who is just moving in right now. So that's fantastic. So we've turned ourselves into a landlord as well. But we've obviously halved the massive costs for this beautiful office. And it's not uber posh, but this had priorly Amex had been on this floor. So it was all beautifully decked out with lovely glass offices. And we managed to move in without,
Does COVID mean then, do you think you would now recruit from further away? Do you like having the office and everybody local? Or do you think you'd be happier now with people in Amsterdam or America or wherever they needed to be? Because now there's a real moment to employ the people you want to employ, anywhere in the world, rather than the sort of the best. Not saying anyone is, of course, but the best available near you. Because who wants to commute like 3 hours to Brighton? Not many people. So you've got a limited pool of people, right?
So what we're going to do is everybody is obviously working remote, and when we have the vaccine and we can come back. We've got 9,000 square feet of space. We've got a beautiful training academy, so for the bigger meetings and events. And it's the culture at Crunch is really good. Everybody's super friendly. The teams work really, really well. We have quarterly town hall meetings and have a load of drinks and food. So I think it's really important we do that. But we are allowing the team to move further afield, in the UK. But they, at their cost, they have to come back and do these quarterly meetings, or at least do their team meetings. So that's the sort of
that's a good compromise. Actually, you can move away, but I'm not paying for you to come back from Devon.
Exactly. Yeah. We couldn't possibly. You've picked the Outer Hebrides because you've got your family up there, and it's a £467 flight back to Gatwick. I mean, no, we can't do that. So that's, we feel, is a really beautiful compromise. But in all honesty, we are being asked about international locations and people wanting to be with their wife's family in Germany or Spain or whatever the circumstance is. We've had the States as well, and you don't realise the complexities to it because I really want to support the team wherever they want to be, as long as it's not bizarre time zones. I think plus or minus one is fine. The States doesn't work at all. I was getting to a point of actually announcing to the whole team, fully accommodating wherever you want to be, but don't go too far. And bear in mind, you have to pay for coming back and accommodation. But when you look into it, Alistair, the complexities are massive. So if you're permanently basing yourself in that country, we still have to pay PAYE and national insurance contributions. God, it sounds like I've been drinking or something, but I haven't.
It's the excitement. I'm on TV. It's
I know. I'm very excited to be here.
Hey, this is the first one I'm streaming live.
Is it? Yeah. Well, no. By the entrance you made, and pulling the blue screen across, I knew that you weren't going to do that to me. As you nearly did. So say if they want to be in Germany, we're now just that point of looking in. Do they have to pay local taxes as well? So could it be a double tax situation? And that's what I'm unsure of. They certainly need to, if they're going to stay there, they need to be bound by the employment law of that country. Yeah. So from what seems like a perfectly innocent, of course you can base yourself in the south of France where your family is. Yeah, it'd be fine. Oh, you're now subject to French employment law, which is really hardcore. Yeah. I think we're on a case-by-case basis. We're talking to the team wherever they want to be in the UK, absolutely no problem, on the basis that they have to pay to come back and sort out their accommodation.
It is one of the interesting things, because it is, when you read all the stuff about Brexit, and let's not go there, but if you read all the stuff about Brexit, it's all harmonised and we're leaving. Like, my sister works in Germany. There's nothing harmonised with this at all. She's got a flat in France and she lives and works in Germany. And the difference between the banking, getting mortgages, living, working, tax you pay. Her boyfriend came here to work for a year. And bear in mind, this is, we haven't left or anything. He came here to work for a year. He went back at the beginning of April because COVID, he lost his job. And internal temperature high, allowed to cool. He went back to Germany and he can't get any benefits, even though he's unemployed, because he left the country for a year. And you can't imagine that happening in this country. So I think there's that lack of harmonisation. But there are, I think, I was speaking to the other day, he talks about this transformational moment now where, like, you can employ anyone, anywhere, because everyone's been, in another 2 years, everyone working from home and working like this will be completely normal.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I do love the remote working, and it works surprisingly well for Crunch. Now, to give you a bit of my background, and again, I don't know if I've ever spoken about this, but my background was in internet hosting. And my first startup was an internet provider, started with dial-up. But, I learned a lot, in there, and the hosting company, which was Colt Telecom at the time, which was part of Cable and Wireless. And the centers that I showed these top customers and top .coms were just so overkill. So we had numerous flaws. They were so secure to try and get into. We had 2 Rolls-Royce diesel generators, down in the basement area. We had 2 weeks worth of fuel, diesel fuel, in tanks underneath them. We had massive battery backup rooms. Everything was N+1 or N+2, so it's always got +1 protection or +2 protection on it. So I kind of grown up in this. So we started Crunch, and everything had to be backed up. We had to have cloud this, and I was very, very early in going to cloud telephony. And we got all of these systems in place, and the board are kind of wondering why I've got all of these things. And we just upgraded the cloud telephony system just before December, of last year, and COVID kicked in, and literally the engineering team left a week before Boris called it. I called it on the morning before Boris called it at 5 o'clock, and it works seamlessly. Everything in our disaster recovery or business continuity plan worked, and it was really good to see it, all of that protection, all of that learning I'd had for years of these massive, outrageously expensive co-location centres. It was working. Have you got a video feed again?
No, you're back. Yeah, I'm just listening. It's funny, without your face, you have to concentrate a lot more. So when I can watch you, it's easier. When the screen goes actually harder, because you have to sort of focus in your headphones.
Yeah, I know. So I've been blowing cool air on it and gently nursing it back to health. But I tell you, this is already a lesson learned about cameras that I think trying to charge the thing at the same time is going to create too much internal heat. I've never seen that. I mean, these lights we've got weren't that expensive from Amazon, but the LED, so they're not pumping out that much heat. So it's not that warm in here. So I think it's just the fact you're charging at the same time as giving it. I mean, it's 4K.
And the warning is
4K coming out of that.
And the warning, of course, is it's getting too hot.
Yeah, I know. Right, so lesson learned. I need the mains adapter. And it's Stephen, my head of finance, can I have another adapter, please? I've already asked for another couple of gadgets, so I can actually. It's like a teleprompter.
Yeah, you can tell the quality. I can see the quality difference in mine is my MacBook, and yours is an actual paid-for camera. It's
the vlogger's camera. I think there's a new one out, but I've always wanted to do this. It's here for the whole team, and I'm gonna. The other thing I haven't told you, well, I have told you actually because we spoke about it. I want to help, and I think it's the perfect time to help. So I'm going to do a whole YouTube series helping people set up businesses or helping them find an idea of what they could do, because they might be made redundant. They're going, I'm in despair. I don't know what to do. And when Crunch was created in 2009, self-employment absolutely boomed. It was recessionary time. Yeah. Lots of people who've been made redundant, and a lot of people headed into self-employment and setting up their own small business. And I believe that's going to happen again once we get into next year. The businesses that were employing lots of people will take ages to build up steam again. So I want to help, and I'll be doing the same as you, creating a YouTube series. Inviting loads of people in, but also showing them loads of examples of what you can do. And I want people to look and go, he makes his money how? Yeah. Really? That's really cool. Or to let them get a business going, and they do 3 days a week, and then they do two days a week on the environmental charity or whatever, or help a children's charity. So
it is the interesting thing, isn't it? Because I think I got lots of friends and people and contacts over the year. And it's like, how'd you do what you've done? And it's like, well, basically, because I didn't have a job. When I set up UK Data, I didn't say when I met Paul, we did the online credit card buying of credit reports when you were doing Crunch. Nobody had done it before, but we had he had a business, and he sort of paid me. I think he paid me like £500 a month or something to build web pages or something equally in 1999, which seemed equally visionary looking back. Yeah. But we didn't. You had enough money to buy beer and pay the rent, and then we built that thing because you didn't have a job. If you had a job, the hardest thing ever is the people I know who've tried this have jobs, set up a company or set up a product or whatever it is you do. That's the hardest way ever, right? So actually, if you're unemployed, your back's against the wall. That's when you really graft it out, because you have the thing of there is no safety net. And I've seen some people now in my LinkedIn feed have been made redundant, started again, and have now already, in the 6 months since they've been made redundant and COVID's impacted them, are now getting to the point they're actually making some money, enjoying Brilliant. It. And of course, the other thing is, if you enjoy what you do, work isn't work, it's just part of your life. Right, that's the fundamental shift. If you can get to that point, because you've done this for how many years, and I don't think you're sitting here at 5:51 on a Thursday night talking to some idiot from Confounded TV because you think, oh, when I finish it, I finish work. It's because it's you. I said this last night on this thing. And I wanted to touch with this. So these guys last night, they're all trying to raise funds, and I was trying to say, that's fine, that's great. You don't have to do that. One guy's got a conversion rate where he's at least a tenth of the price of the industry norm for what he does. So I won't say who it is.
Wow.
Actually, I will. Yeah. It's Edmund at Leasewheel. Right, so you can lease a car. His website, he's converting people into lease cars at £2 a pop. Right, that's at least a tenth of the average in the industry. Right, that's all struggling to raise money for various reasons. But
it's not exactly the easiest time. I mean, you can raise money now.
There's loads of it.
They're desperate to shift the money. Yeah, but it's not exactly easy. You've got to do it all over video, and it's not the easiest. But
there is money out there for because there's still because you have to think of the time lag. I was once told, as one of my investors, the funds get their money, and they get it, last year. It's got to be distributed this year. It can't sit like a bank until, hey, things are better, right? Because they only get their 2%, and they've got to get their carry, and the whole thing's got to be moving, otherwise it stops.
Yeah, they have to shift the money out.
They have to shift the money. So what's interesting, of course, is like the thing you said. You haven't taken any. Institutional money is probably the right way of putting it, is it?
No institutional. Oh, well, actually, that's a lie, because a bank is institutional money. So because we do
structural VC type money.
No, definitely not that money, because it's just not been right. I turn away like all these conversations. It's just a time waster. So we've only ever had our own money, and the money from Michael van Schvee, who set up eBay Europe and was on the board of eBay, and he's our chairman. He's the most amazing guy, and so believes that we can nail it. And he's stuck with us for 9+ years, because he knows we're doing something very disruptive and different, and we will break through. And I think he completely supports that we shouldn't take that money, because they will get you, they'll give you the money, get you on a track that's not right, And then if you miss a few targets, shoot you in the back of the head and push you out the back door. It's pretty ruthless. So we've been completely in control and built it up to this point. 50,000 members, growing, say 2,000 members a month, including the free accounting software. A 10+ million turnover business. Position 60 in the, and I never knew this. There's a top 100 accountancy firms. Of course, we're in position 60 now. We keep going up. So
60 on what? On staff turnover?
It's on turnover. So obviously, the big four are up right.
That's interesting. So on turnover, billions. You've gone from nowhere to in the top 60.
From nowhere, yeah. I know. So that was funny when. Just in the UK. That was when I got onto the top 100. I was like, I'll have a reference point. We're not doing too bad, and we keep creeping up. But it's been quite slow creeping up over the last couple of years because we're doing something that no other accountancy firm is doing. We have built a complete accountancy software platform with, as I explained to you, all these different things. So we have an ability to properly scale now. So it's now at this time that I'm happy to start having those investor conversations. We've done it with practically no money, really. I think in total. Oh, no, actually, I was going to come back to the other bit where we have got some money, which has leapt us forward. So I think we did it originally with about 1.2 million in total, and I put 250k down like a nutter when it was so unlikely to work. So that got us through all the early years when we started generating stacks of cash because we're delivering the whole accountancy services. And it was 2 years ago. Barclays is at our bank, and they have been amazing. Graham is our bank manager. He's been with the bank since I think he was 16. That proper bank manager that really cares and knows when a business is good, and we borrowed some money from them at an amazingly low interest rate, and Barclays have been amazing, and that chunk of money enabled us to finish replatforming on and create all these different, effectively like Lego bricks of services, so we can have Crunch Free with limited and sole trader and all the other core little services, and move away from the almost the monolithic code block, and that's enabled us to see this big growth. And now we got the growth numbers. We can now
turn the engine on.
Speak. We can, as I say to Monty, my 18 months old, we can now talk to the investors, and I can talk to them properly about real proper growth, and we know exactly how to spend the money. So we got the dev team, including all the Scrum, the design, and various components of it, is about 50 here, and you can't find enough developers. That's always the problem out here. So we've had to nearshore that. So we've perfected, outsourcing or nearshoring these developers, and you can see exactly how to put the money in to really super scale the platform, and then obviously put a portion into marketing, and then you really start revving. What
stops some of your competitors who are very highly funded just going, hey, we can put some accountants at the end of the phone?
They are. They want free agent are trying, but they're trying to do it with practices because this operation is really complicated. But we know how to make it work. But in answer to your question, Intuit, the owners of QuickBooks and TurboTax, have obviously been watching us. They flew over, and we had a lovely chat with them. They were interested in sharing knowledge.
I bet they were. So how did you do it, Darren?
Yeah, of course they were. But they were. They added CPA, so their tax advisor, to TurboTax, and it's really, really cool. And I get really excited when I see people add service cleverly done with the software. So TurboTax has been in existence for eons. You do your IRS return, and they added the CPA, and I've lost my camera again. Right. So let's just turn that off. So they added that. So I think it was $75, $95 for TurboTax to do your return, but for another $95, and maybe a little bit more if you want a more premium service, over video, you can talk to the CPA, the tax specialist, and go through it on your phone, your return, and they've obviously grown massively now by adding service on there. So that's of course why they wanted to come over and have a good old chatette. And then they've done the same with bookkeepers on QuickBooks, but their main channel to market, Alistair, of course, is the accountants out there. Mm-hmm. So they're straying dangerously into the market. Well, you've got bookkeepers now, and the accountants are going, whoa, what are you doing? You're coming into our turf. Yeah. So it's really, really interesting. If you're a software house and you can see that service adds loads of revenue, how do you do it without really upsetting your channel? And that's the big problem for them. But they're probably still do it and go, there may be, you never know, a middle finger extended to the whole accountancy channel, because they go, we've now got accountants on the end of our software. You never know.
But this is happening where remember that famous phrase that software will eat the world. Look at hardware like cars. You buy the ID3, you can buy it from the Volkswagen website, right? The dealer is a deliverer of that car. What happens to these big franchises when, if you're a car maker now, you ain't going to make any more new diesel engines because in 10 years' time you can't sell them. So immediately you get the shift, and then you get the reliability, and then you don't need the service departments, of which makes up X% of these companies' profits. And then you take Deliveroo and Just Eat, and if you want to be on it, you have to pay this much to be on it. Otherwise, these people aren't coming to your restaurant. And one by one, so they're in the end, they'll say, "We'll get the customers. You can help us service that customer," because there is no choice. Isn't TurboTax the one? I'm sure Reddit's got a bit of an issue with. Isn't TurboTax the one where you actually just charge you for what you could just file yourself on the IRS website in the States?
I think you probably could, like HMRC here, but you do that at your own risk. But the IRS forced them to give a free version away, and they do. That was reasonably recent, but of course, Intuit got raps on the knuckles because they'd hidden it away, some dark place in the website. But yeah,
your Experian credit score. Remember that. It's £2 for your Experian credit score, unless you click this link, excuse me, and then it's completely free.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So
your old world.
Your next thing then is proper conversations with investors. You've spent the time grafting out the platform, the processes, how it works. So what you're really saying now is, if you give me this money, now is the time, because there's going to be another surge in owner operators and small limited companies. I've done it before, I'll do it again. Give me the money, I'll scale this up to 10 times what I'm doing, and then you get in that top 10, top 20 of the UK's biggest accountancy practices.
Yeah, that'd be bizarre, wouldn't it?
Without being bizarre. An accountant.
Yeah, no, I know. But
the accountancy company isn't run by an accountant.
No. But that was the other thing I was going to say to you is I never forget going to the British Accountancy Awards for the first time, and you got the bit I didn't mention is right at the beginning. Of course, we were routinely hated by the accountants because they were charging $2,500 a year for these sort of limited accounts, and we've come in at £750 or whatever, £800, and I used to have dreams of walking down the street and rotten fruit and veg being thrown at me, like, you evil man, how dare you come into our space? I remember going to the British Accountancy Awards where we won an award, and we won loads of awards since in that world. And you walk in, you go, they're all staring at you. It's like, that's Darren Fell, that horrible man that came into our world. So yeah,
but it's only
we're moving up.
Anyone disrupting something like that is easy to fix. Don't take the piss. Like my guys, really good, fair pricing. Right. Same with the legal guys we used on Carsnip. I think we paid, compared to some of the costs that others were paying, we were paying like a third, getting excellent personal service. You'd recommend them to everyone, and I have several times mentioned them on LinkedIn over the years. And then if people ask me, who would you do for this deal, or for setting up a company for raising for funds or whatever, I go over here, speak to this guy. And that happens because excellent service at a fair price will win every day of the week. If you're taking the piss, right, your margins aren't safe, because the fact is, if there's lots of people in a sector who can take the piss, excuse my language, it means that the margins are too fat, right? That's just a sad fact of life.
No, of course. And they routinely worked the smaller markets, especially if it was probably a market of, because that was face-to-face meetings lots then. The quality of the customer shoes was like, Oh, very nice shoes there. Yes, that'd be £5,500 for a very simple set of limited accounts. Is that okay, sir? Yes, fine. So and we literally have had customers who've been paying a fortune for their accounts.
It's not a measurable. It's not a measurable service, right? One of the things about accountancy, it's not a measurable service. I can't tell if you or Bob are any better than this. If you sound the same and say the same things, but I don't know if you really know what you're talking about, because I have to just completely trust you. And it's like you measuring dentists or measuring doctors. People say, "Oh, my local GP, he's great." How do you know? Right? Is that the guy who's missed all this?
Is there a trust pilot for dentists and doctors?
Oh, let's not go to Trustpilot. My favourite person on the internet is Callum from reviews.io.
Oh, yeah, I know Callum.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's like, poke hole, keep poking, right? Because,
Oh, actually, I saw him have a pop at Trustpilot.
Yeah.
I need to find out what that was all about.
I went to them we had 1.8 million companies on UK data, and that was at UK Data's peak when it was like millions of visitors. It was 2,000 at peak time a day, right? And I said to them, I've got this great idea. I've got all these pages. You type in any company name. This is in their boardroom. You type in any company name, and I'll be the first result. Why don't I have a tab called reviews, right? You populate it with the reviews you've got, right? And then if people then sign up, I'll get a share of the revenue. They said, that's great, yeah. So we had a chat about it. They said, okay, so you need to pay us 20 grand for the API. And I was like, hold on. I'm going to pay you 20 grand for the API.
20 grand?
20 grand. And this is years, early 2000s or mid 2000s. Yeah. Actually, Chloe will remember. It's 20 grand for the API. So you want me to pay for the API to then put a link on 1.8 million company pages, which means that in effect people say no reviews yet. Is this your company? Claim this review page or whatever. I'm going to drive you traffic. Bear in mind, getting 2,000 concurrent hits, in real time, at peak times, at lunchtime, whatever. And they went, yeah. I said, how much will I get then? Oh, we'll give you 5% of any conversions. So I've got the audience, I've got the companies, I've got the data, you've got nothing. How many companies have you got so we can actually understand how many reviews we can put on there? And he said, we've got 1,800, does it? And have you got the limited company names so I can easily match this? Oh, no. So no limited company names, only 1,800. I've got 1.8 million on here. And I was like, this is the weirdest conversation in the world. And anyway, so I left the office. That was a waste of a train ticket. And I think, when you see what Callum does, you think, good for you, mate.
Yeah, no, exactly. We used to use him all the time, but we had a new head of sales and marketing, and he had he knew some people at Trustpilot, and we need to be on there. So we went on there and reviews. Reviews.co.uk was. I think we still got it running, but it's not the one routinely used. So you much rather support the local man than the big corporate.
Until you become one.
That's adamant not to become a big corporate, and that's why the culture's so important. Why you look after the team, and you do special things like we were talking about, like where they could be. Maybe the corporates are thinking about that, but we are never ever. That's a golden rule. Never let it be feel corporate.
Why wouldn't you crowdfund?
Well, that is a brilliant subject because it gets you loads of free PR as well. You
get lots of loyal customers. You've got enough of them there.
Yeah, but let's put this delicately. We were about to do it. I loved it because it's very, very community centric.
Totally, yeah.
But I was, a lot of people I know, some really great entrepreneurs in Brighton had done it. There's a photographic marketplace, a really amazing photographic marketplace, and he got the whole crowdfunding up and running. And he was obviously revealing some information. He didn't want to reveal too much, but all of his competitors were seeing what's going on and also slating him. So his experience was really, really bad. And he just, Darren, don't do it. I know you want to share the success of Crunch with the community, but really it's just not worth it. Everything's on the table. Everybody can see what's going on, so don't do it. So we, I told you the story about Barclays being amazing and supporting us. They supported us, and we didn't need to do it. Now you come to this point, and you question: do you need to crowdfund, or would you work with a really great investment firm? it would have to be a really, really great investment firm.
You actually
it's so much easier. I mean, also don't forget, if you've got a nominee shareholder that accommodates, lots and lots of different shareholders, it makes it easier. But there's the one thing you hear from investment firms if they come in and they go, you haven't crowdfunded, have you?
Really?
And they go, yeah, no. Go, thank God. The due diligence on that is just a nightmare. And you can imagine, I mean, the cap table or the shareholders, it starts becoming problematic, and they don't really like that unless it's just gunning it, and they can spend a load more time and therefore a load more money, like really investigating and checking out. But it puts the business into a different position. So you tend to see crowdfunding used by firms that really are perfectly in that place to raise money that way, and the only other times you see it is just to fill up the coffers. So they've got investment from some major investment banks, and they may crowdfund on that. And I'm just I'm wondering if Revolut did that, because they created a massive valuation, but they still crowdfunded the end of that round. But yeah,
that's part. Excuse me. That's part of the game sometimes, isn't it? You've got a third of it already. You then do it. You hit the button. You get a third of it instantly.
Yeah, exactly. But what we see, and particularly in our market, very unfair valuations going out, and people very well. Yeah, I know that's kind of obvious, but really unfair valuations.
As in too low.
No, outrageously high.
Oh, I was going to say, because everything I've seen on Cedar, it's just like, really,
Yeah,
you can go 5 million, and we haven't started yet. Yeah,
you can go so high, but the trouble is, if you do that and you don't get that growth, there is nowhere else for you to go. You have to go back to
coming. Yeah.
You have to go crowdfunding again. So, personally speaking, on crowdfunding, from what I've seen, and in our own marketplace, people crowdfund at very, very high levels and then hide away that there are options and debts that they've not. I'm wondering why the FCA doesn't regulate this market more. And I love the whole concept of crowdfunding. Don't get me wrong, but I feel there just needs to be more control over the valuation set and being completely transparent, because the people are investing in the idea and don't know. And often some of these crowd funds don't reveal all the financial data, but then the end investor isn't what they'd call a sophisticated investor to go, well, actually, that is right. That is a good valuation. So, I think in answer to your question, from right at the beginning, I love the concept of sharing the success with the community. Now, I think it's kind of a little bit tainted. I mean, the original founders of Crowdcube, I really love what they do, and Darren and the rest of the guys. When used correctly, it's brilliant. I've seen some examples that are used really, really poorly, and I think therefore it's a bit tainted, and we would never ever use it.
That's pretty final. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, if I come on the show again and go, well, we couldn't get any investment, and we're crowdfunding, and crowdfunding's lovely, really.
Yeah. Hello, crowdfunding
I'm full of poo-poo.
My name's Darren. I'd love to crowdfund, please. And they're going to go, exactly. You're the guy who was on that really popular podcast talking about how you shouldn't crowdfund. I think it does. Yeah. The statement isn't that you shouldn't. The question is when you should, because I think some of the stuff on there, it's perfect. They're community-based products. They're consumery. People buy them and then talk about them, and then other people walk into the house and go, where did you get that kettle from, like the Funky Kettle Company and all that? That all makes perfect sense. Professional services, perhaps not. That's the other thing. And also some of the valuations are insane. I mean, I literally send them around, people going, have you seen this? Literally, they're selling fresh air in a can, raising 300 grand at 5 million. And then, have you got a factory yet to put the fresh air in the cans? Oh, no, we found a good site in the Ukraine. What?
But Stephen, our head of finance, was looking, because he invested in a few things, and I think this is where they've got to protect their interests. And I think some firm did a massive raise, got a load of money, and 6 months later the directors liquidated the business, so they're rightfully going after them legally.
I know somebody else done that.
It feels just like an area rife with potential to con. I know they do their due diligence.
I think they should be fair to them here. On the whole, it does really well for a lot of people. It raises money. It gets community money into good businesses. And most of these people are just raising money. And it's a good way to do it, to take away the grief of walking around South Ken, going into posh conference rooms and feeling a bit humiliated because you're not a billionaire. So I think there is definitely a place for it. And I think the other, there are those frauds. I've got a friend who went to work for a guy, believed his story. The guy was very good salesman, very good CEO. He had all this stuff, raised 200 grand for this new business, and then 2 weeks later, a company was liquidated, and only got paid, door shut, no answering phone. I mean, literally, and you're like, but that is illegal, right? It's a course of law.
Blatant con.
It is a blatant con, and he will one day pay the price. And I think, on the whole, the stuff you see is actually really good. Stuff like the Funky Kettle Company is pretty clever. If you like,
I might have to go and check that out. Now, I see lights going out in reception there. Now, luckily, as the founder and the boss, I've got. We haven't, have we?
Yeah, it's 6:15.
No way. Right, okay.
Yeah, way.
Now, number one, the camera's probably going to overheat again. So there's been a massive lesson learned on get power supplies. So don't try and charge at the same time. And number two, Claire, my wife, will be expecting me home because I've got to put Monty and Hugo to bed. And if I'm missing, I will get into massive trouble.
Yeah.
Massive.
And you're right, my wine's waiting. So we should really call it a day. Darren Fell, founder of crunch.co.uk and most generally awesome fellow. Thank you very much for coming on Confounded TV.
No problem at all. It's been brilliant chatting to you. You've been brilliant. Thank you.